Alright, so we have the 426 patch details, aka the Multiverse of Madness update, which is coming with 4 new uniforms, Tier 3 Wang, a Multiverse Invasion, custom gear reforging, new artifacts, and more. It's going to be an 8-hour maintenance starting from 4 p.m. PDT, which is going to be 7 p.m. EST, and it's going to be running until midnight PDT or 3 a.m. EST. So slightly longer maintenance than we are used to. So guys, make sure you get in early, get some stuff done so you can actually enjoy the early morning update for Multiverse of Madness. That being said, let's take a look at the new uniforms that are going to be coming for Doctor Strange, Wang, Scarlet Witch, and America Chavez. So first things first, the new uniforms that are dropping after the patch will be on sale for 50% off, so you don't have to hold back. You can buy them right away, as I suspected. Moving on, we got Doctor Strange's new uniform, which unfortunately is keeping him as a blast superhero. Unfortunate for me anyways. I was kind of hoping that he was going to be a universal character this time around, but it's okay. So for his uniform effect, he has skill damage and bonus damage. That's okay. His new 4-star passive gives him chain hit damage and 100% chance to penetrate everything except invincibility. As for his tier 2 passive, they're adding 55% energy attack and 40% damage reduction in place of the 15% all speed that he had before. So this is quite a big buff for him. For his first skill, he's actually losing the stun that he had, but he's keeping the bind. Hopefully this skill is still an iframe ignore skill because it was on his previous uniforms. However, it was never listed, so we'll have to check and see if it still has iframe ignore when we get to play with him. Moving on, we have Paralysis on his second skill, and he still keeps his ability to remove all buffs from targets. He can still reflect damage, and he still heals himself whenever you use the 2 skill. However, if you take a look at his 1 and 2, the skill cooldown time on them is actually going up by quite a bit. The first skill is going up by 3 seconds, and the second skill is actually going up by 5 seconds, because before the first skill only had 8 seconds of cooldown time and the second skill actually only had 7 seconds of cooldown time. Moving on, we have Mystic Circle Bomb. This skill actually has bind on it and gives him a 60% attack buff for 5 seconds. Again, the cooldown time on this skill is being increased from the 10 seconds that it was to 13 seconds. Moving on, we have Chain Explosion, which has stun, paralysis, invincibility, and damage accumulation. This is damage accumulation based on damage dealt. This is a 13-second cooldown, which is again 3 seconds longer of a cooldown period than his prior 4th skill. And one thing I'm noticing here for Doctor Strange is his buffs have really short durations, for 5 seconds and 6 seconds if you take a look at his skills. This is not necessarily the best thing, to be honest with you guys. I would like to see these durations be at like 10 seconds so you have more time to play with them and less time trying to put them up. However, the damage accumulation is 1.3, which is very, very good. So hopefully his damage output is absolutely amazing. We got Realm of Enlightenment, which has incapacitation, stun, and a 60% attack increase. However, these buffs only last for 2 seconds. My guess is that these buffs refresh every 2 seconds for 15 seconds, since the skill itself has a 30-second cooldown time. Otherwise, that would be nonsense. You can't tell me that we put up a skill and within 2 seconds all the buffs are gone. That doesn't make sense, because you won't even be able to do any significant damage with those buffs before they run out if they only last for 2 seconds. So I think this is kind of deceiving. My guess is it's a refreshing buff that refreshes every 2 seconds for 15 seconds. Otherwise, I'm gonna be upset. But looking at his skills, between the damage accumulation and the chain hit damage, it looks like he's possibly going to be very, very powerful. Moving on, we have Scarlet Witch, who is remaining as a universal superhero. We have Ignore Dodge, Mind Damage, and Damage Reduction. The Ignore Dodge is going to go a long way for her. This is one of the things that I was looking forward to seeing in her kit. For her 4-star passive, they're adding 5% attack and defense, because before she had 20%, now it's 25%. For Controlled Chaos, her tier 2 passive, they're actually adding 10% skill damage and bonus damage. As for her one skill, it's pretty much staying the same. They're adding a little bit of damage. As for her second skill, they decided to keep her damage accumulation the same as the lowest damage accumulation in the game. That is crazy, man. I was kind of hoping to see 1% for Scarlet Witch, but maybe her damage in this new uniform is just absolutely bonkers, so they don't need to bump it up any further. Moving on, Control Chaos gives her a 20% heal now as opposed to a 15% that she had before. One thing I want to say though is she's actually losing her ability to reflect damage that was on her third skill. And apparently this skill doesn't allow you to move around anymore, as opposed to with her previous uniforms you could attack and evade at the same time. So I'm not too sure if I'm gonna like playing this uniform very much, unless they just didn't list it here and it still is a part of her kit. As for her fifth skill, they decided to increase her mind damage by 5% and cut the cooldown time from 28 seconds to 18 seconds. Honestly, I don't think they're doing enough for Scarlet Witch here, so you might not need to buy this uniform. It looks like it is probably a dud. Like, the biggest thing that I see her getting here is the ignore dodge. Moving on, we have Wang, and he is remaining as a speed type as I expected. Some of you guys were hoping that he would become blast. Unfortunately, that is not the case. So he gets 15% critical rate, 15% dodge, and 30% damage reduction. And as for his leadership, it's being changed. Before this applied to all allies, now it only applies to Mystic allies. So pretty much anyone that's associated with Doctor Strange is what I'm assuming. They're probably going to be adding a new tag called Mystic Allies, and they're going to make it so that Wang's leadership has a 25% chance of giving them damage immunity for 12 seconds on a 60-second cooldown. His leadership is now officially, in my opinion, garbage because of the fact that they just nerfed it down to being super niche. Moving on, Mystic allies get 53% damage increase to villains and heroes. This is amazing. So shout out to them for actually giving Wang an amazing support passive. As for his tier 2 passive, they're increasing his critical damage from 40% to 50%, his guaranteed dodge from 15% to 30%, and his guaranteed critical rate from 30% to 40%. So these are actually good buffs here. I love the passive changes. I just don't like the leadership change. If anything, they should have made it so that this gave him debuff removal as well, and then cut this from 60 seconds to 30 seconds, because even though damage immunity is nice, it can be penetrated by pretty much every character in the game. Moving on, Wang's second skill has a counter attack, so it looks like he might actually be solid for PvP. He also has ignore targeting, and he removes active buffs from targets. 50% chance to penetrate everything, which includes barrier, shield, damage immunity, and invincibility for 3 seconds. So hey man, we might see Wang in PvP, boys. It's unexpected, but it might actually happen. So look out for Wang. We got paralysis, a heal, damage immunity for 5 seconds, and a 1.5% damage accumulation buff for Wang out here with a 10-second duration and a 15-second cooldown. Wang might very well be better than Doctor Strange. Who knows? Okay, rotation nunchuck. Okay, stun, invincibility, and a 100% attack buff for 5 seconds and 1 attack. That's very interesting. So hopefully you can pass this on. So maybe you can do something like 3, 4, and then proc on 5. 5 has a 15% attack buff for 5 seconds. That's like the lowest 5th skill attack buff I've ever seen, to be honest with you. But with a really high damage accumulation buff and a 100% attack buff here, something like Human Torch, maybe, just maybe, you can hit for big damage on the 5th skill. Or maybe you could just stack all these buffs and then proc on the 2. It's very weird to see a counter attack on the 2 skill, but hey, it might actually be sexy. We'll see. Anyways, moving on, we have America Chavez. Obviously, she's staying as a combat type. Nobody expected any kind of change. And her uniform bonus is actually really good. So before it was 15% extra HP for herself. Now it's 40% extra HP for all allies. And they take 50% less damage from reflected attacks. So shout out to them for actually turning America Chavez into a decent support character. Her leadership is staying the same, 30% all attack and dodge. As for her 4-star passive, they're giving her 25% guaranteed dodge, in addition to the 25% guaranteed crit rate that she had before, and 30% ignore dodge. For her tier 2 passive, they're increasing her all defense by 60% from 50%, and they're increasing her skill damage and bonus damage by 10% and 5% respectively. Moving on, we have her third skill, which actually has a counter attack, so they're really doubling down on her PvP potential this time around. And in addition to the counter attack, she actually has damage accumulation based on damage taken. It cannot exceed 13% of her max HP, so it's very similar to what we saw them give to War Machine, so keep that in mind. We have Paralysis here on her fourth skill, so that could be useful for Extreme Alliance battle. We also have 30% HP recovery and debuff removal, so that could be useful for PvP. We got Stun, Fracture, Paralysis, Invincibility, and a 50% attack and defense buff. America Chavez might actually be good for Alliance battle or PvP because she has the counter attack with damage accumulation on there. That's kind of sexy. Moving on, Wang's tier 3 skill, 80% chance to penetrate everything for 10 seconds, 10 seconds of invincibility, and 10 seconds of debuff removal. Doesn't look like the most sexy, but it is what it is. Moving on, we have a new game mode called Multiverse Invasion, and Multiverse Invasion is basically combining co-op play and world boss invasion in one. As they said right here, Multiverse Invasion is a multi-content where 3 agents cooperate. Each agent can set a character to manipulate and up to 5 support characters before entering Multiverse Invasion. Okay, so participating characters, let's see what it looks like here. Support characters do not actually participate in the battle, but the buffs will apply when support characters are selected. The type of stat buffs and effects will differ based on the growth status of the supporting characters. Support characters cannot be reused until the reset, and I'm assuming the reset is daily. So pretty much it's going to be another autoplay repeat kind of situation. Essentially, this is eliminating the need to play co-op invasion separately from co-op play. I think this is amazing. So you can just do 2-in-1 and you get both the rewards. Moving on, we have Ctp Reforging for the Ctp of Veteran and the Ctp of Patience. I was kind of hoping that the Ctp of Veteran would be the last Ctp that got reforged because the only way to get it is from the Collector's Vault. So as you can see right here, it's coming along with this new Blade effect, which increases damage dealt by 40 and 70%. So 40% on a Mighty and then 70% on a Brilliant. Additionally, for the Ctp of Veteran, you can actually create a shield for 35% of your max HP. So the Ctp of Veteran looks like it's going to be a combination of the Ctp of Energy and the Ctp of Regeneration at the exact same time. As for the Patience is coming with this new effect called Defend, which creates a barrier that ignores cancel and pierce effects 10 times and recovers HP by 90% of concentration. So if you have a bunch of red stars, you can increase the amount of HP you're recovering by. The Ctp of Patience will decrease the amount of damage received from reflect attacks by 90%. Moving on, we have new artifacts for Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, Wang, and America Chavez. As for Doctor Strange, there is a 20% chance, so 1 in 5 times that Doctor Strange uses his time freeze ability, he's gonna get these buffs for 5 seconds. Again, these low duration on his buffs are really killing me, man. So he can ignore iframe for 5 seconds. He has a 24% attack buff for 5 seconds and a 50% chance to dodge all attacks for 5 seconds. Again, these low durations on his buffs are gonna be the death of me. Moving on, Scarlet Witch has a 20% increased damage buff to heroes and villains, and that is there all the time. This is way better than the 20% chance thing here for Doctor Strange. Wang has a 25% attack buff all the time, no chance, nothing, no duration, nothing, no cooldown, nothing. So this is also better than Doctor Strange in my personal opinion. As for America Chavez, she ignores non-boss enemy damage decrease. So basically this is for PvP. It's very similar to the Ctp of Greed. So they're doubling down, tripling down even on her PvP value. I think these 3 artifacts are way better than Doctor Strange because Doctor Strange a 1 in 5 chance for him to put up a buff for 5 seconds on a 10-second cooldown. I'd rather get the buff all the time from these guys. If I were to pick one out of all of these, I would say Scarlet Witch has the best one because it's a 20% damage buff for all forms of content against heroes and villains. But the artifact for America Chavez might actually be really good for killing Spider-Man since he's a combat type with a lot of HP. And an additional 25% attack on Wang might actually make a big difference. Moving on, we have some new icons. There's one for Moon Knight and one for Scarlet Witch. So you already know what time we on, boys. We on demon time. We absolutely have to get the new one for Wanda. And with a new icon coming from Moon Knight, y'all can probably expect a Moon Knight uniform in a couple months. All I'm saying, oh, there's a new one for Captain America. I guess the new one for Captain America is probably going to be coming in an event shop. And the new one for Doctor Strange, it's 4. We only see 2 here. Interesting. The one for Scarlet Witch actually looks really dope. I'm gonna definitely be rocking that. Okay, so we already have a uniform collection for Doctor Strange 2, which tells us that there might not be any more uniforms for Doctor Strange 2. That's kind of weird. Or maybe there'll be like 2 sets. I don't know. It's weird how we already have a Doctor Strange uniform collection, but still nothing for Spider-Man. What the heck is going on? Okay, so a new 7-year anniversary Luna Snow card. Let's see what this looks like. Unfortunately, this card doesn't look that good. The best you could get from the 6-star option is cooldown. Then we got all defense, critical rate or critical damage, and then we have energy attack, max HP, dodge, physical attack. So yeah, this card doesn't look that good. The fixed option, I think this card is good for new players, but besides that, it's not really anything special. All right, so we got some other improvements here. Agents can now view custom gear, comic cards, enchanted urus, and artifact information in the Marvel Universe tab. That's actually really good because a lot of times you're looking for the artifacts to see what they do and you can't find them. So this is pretty good. Agents can now move to the artifact management screen of a selected hero by tapping on the hero information. Okay, I thought they were buffing the artifacts, making it so you could combine them or something. Agents can now check the unique instinct of a hero. Okay, I see what's going on. So it's going to be highlighted green if that's the specific type for that type of hero. Agents can now check where each power saving theme can be acquired. That's whatever. Okay, so this right here is very, very important for Alliance Conquest. If you like to do donating sessions to build up a bunch of tokens to use to revive, the standards for leaving an alliance has been changed. So when you leave an alliance, you don't have to wait 24 hours anymore. However, before you can leave your alliance, you'll have to be in that alliance for 24 hours. So if you leave, then rejoin, you can't leave again for 24 hours. That's very important. Additionally, we have some game fixes here that you can read through in your own time. I'm not going to hold you guys for this one. However, I will say I was hoping for a little bit more than this from the Multiverse of Madness update. Hopefully there's a part 2 with even bigger additions like a giant boss raid, because I think it's long overdue. So guys, leave me your thoughts in the comments. How are you feeling about the Multiverse of Madness update and who are you most excited for? I'll catch you guys in the next one.